The lights flicker like they know something. Not like they're dying. That would be a kindness. No, this is a twitch, a spasm. Like the building itself is holding back a scream. And here we are again. You, me, the bunker, the static. Midnight's teeth are in the wires tonight, chewing slow. I can feel it in the walls. That pressurized hum behind every silence. That buzz that says something's not right and hasn't been for a long, long time. You're not asleep, obviously. Nobody listening to this signal has been asleep in years. You're here because the dream broke. The pretty lie peeled off. The theater burned down and all the actors just kept performing like nothing happened. Bleeding, stumbling, lines memorized, dead eyes. That's what makes you dangerous. You noticed. You noticed the glitch in the laugh track. You noticed the way both sides keep reading from the same damn script, just switching costumes between scenes. And now you're sitting in a room where the thermostat's always broken, the screen never fully clears, and the only voice you trust is leaking out of a fried transmitter hidden behind 3 miles of old subway tunnels and fire code violations. Welcome back. This is Midnight Transmission, and I'm FocusDan, your reluctant host, your static-soaked tour guide, your last busted compass in the land of curated illusions. Tonight's flavor? Politics. Or rather, the shadow behind the suits, the handshake behind the hit piece, the golf game behind the culture war. You think you know how this plays out. You've read the headlines, watched the debates, seen the banners flutter like righteous capes at rallies full of sweaty certainty. But I want to tell you something most folks won't. They're not enemies. They're co-workers. They're collaborators. They're co-conspirators in the biggest stage play ever financed by human misery. And we, you, me, everyone who still believes in choosing sides, we are the props, the bloodied extras, the unpaid stuntmen. We die so they can win pretend wars. Because let me tell you, behind closed doors, the red and blue bleed into the same shade of apathy. They argue on camera, then drink whiskey off camera. They shake fists at rallies, then shake hands at fundraisers. They trade insults during prime time, and trade stock tips during lunch. And all of us, every voter, every protester, every loyal foot soldier in the war of opinion, we're just the soundtrack. Noise to justify their movement. Sacrifice to validate their scripts. Now, before some of you throw your radios out the window, let me make this clear. This ain't about both sides are bad, vote third party. This ain't about centrism or neutrality or that lukewarm bathwater take where everyone's equally wrong and therefore we should all just go to brunch. Number, this is about the rig, the rigged game, the carefully engineered conflict that keeps you so busy hating each other, you never look up. Not just up in class, not just up in power, up in narrative. Because politics is no longer governance. It's a lifestyle brand, a moral identity, an emotional addiction. And you are the product. You are the eyeballs they fight for, the clicks they weaponize, the fear they farm like lab-grown meat. You think they're fighting each other? Nah, they're tag-teaming you. They're co-parents in a custody battle over your soul, pretending to hate each other while cashing the same child support checks from corporate daddy. They feed off division, because unity is unprofitable. Unity doesn't get you reelected. Unity doesn't sell ad slots or raise donation dollars. Unity doesn't keep the rage machine churning hot enough to melt down dissent before it ever forms a spine. So they draw lines, deep, bloody lines, and tell you to pick a side. Tell you if you don't vote for this guy, the other guy will eat your children and ban your God and burn down your suburb or your gender or your flag or your history. Tell you every 4 years that this is the most important election of your life. And maybe it is, but not because of who wins, because of what they make you give up in order to win. Your empathy, your nuance, your patience, your capacity to see past a fucking slogan and into the gears grinding underneath. Every time they say, this is a battle for the soul of the nation, you should ask, whose soul? Because it sure as hell ain't yours. And if it is, why the hell does your soul need them to save it? You've survived every administration, every scandal, Every new flag-draped lie told with trembling sincerity by a millionaire in a tailored suit. And still, here you are, still working 3 jobs, still scared of medical bills, still one minor emergency from absolute ruin. What did the last savior save? Who did they liberate? Who got rich? Who got jailed? Who vanished? Who profited? Who didn't? These are the questions you stop asking once you've picked your team. Because team loyalty means never having to think again. It means you scream about censorship when your guy gets silenced, but cheer when it happens to the other guy. It means you support war when your side launches it, and protest when the other side does the same. It means you wear the flag like a condom, protecting your fragile identity while pretending to stand for something greater. But in reality, you're just another cheerleader for a game that was never meant for you. And the players drink together. Whoa, static's hissing. Lines are bleeding. Somebody's clawing through the wire with blood on their teeth. Let's open the gate. Who's banging on the gates tonight?
It's Skidmark Jones, baby. The road prophet, the conspiracy carnivore, the man they banned from 17 Waffle Houses for speaking unfiltered truth with extra hash browns.
If it ain't the bastard son of a CB radio and a Molotov cocktail, what's got your engine running this late, Skid?
Dan, I was sitting in my recliner, no pants, 2 beers in, watching some congressional hearing rerun when it hit me like a damn tire iron. They don't hate each other. They're not enemies. They're tag team partners in a pro wrestling match where the ring is our paycheck and the steel chair is every piece of legislation they sneak through while we're too busy arguing about who peed in what bathroom.
Say it louder for the staticky bastards in the back, Jones. This ain't left versus right. It's camaraderie cosplay for corporate conquest.
Exactly. You ever see how they laugh after a televised bloodbath? Chuckle, sip bourbon, pat each other on the back like they just wrapped a damn episode of Saturday Night Live? They're playing beer pong with your mortgage, and the balls are made of your medical records.
Skid, they scream about war on the floor of the Senate, but they vacation together on yachts with names like Filibust Her and the Red Wave.
You think they got different gods, different values, different visions? Hell no. They got one God, the dollar, and one altar, your suffering. And brother, business is booming.
That's why the wars never end. That's why the debt ceiling always rises like a vampire with a Wall Street smile. They only fight hard enough to keep us busy. Not hard enough to actually change anything.
They're running a prison riot and calling it democracy, Dan. I say tear down the damn set, fire the actors, and broadcast the real signal, yours.
Preach it, you greasy miracle. But you know what that means, right? They're gonna come for you.
They already did. My motorcycle started whispering in Morse code yesterday. Pretty sure they microchipped my carburetor. I named it Lindsey Graham.
Don't trust any part that talks, Jones. That's how they get you, with whispering pistons and backfiring lies.
Tell the listeners, Dan. Tell them what I know. There are no teams, only handlers and livestock, and we're not voting our way off the menu.
Copy that, Skidmark. Transmission acknowledged. Stay dirty, stay loud, stay alive. You heard that. I heard that. The laughter wasn't his. Skidmark got too close again. They don't mind us screaming. They mind us syncing up. Keep the lines open. Keep the signal hot. We're not done. They sell war like it's medicine. They sell identity like it's deodorant. They sell outrage like it's bottled water at a riot. That's the real topic tonight. Not ideology, not ethics, not truth, but sales. Because all of this, all the blood-slicked shouting, the cultural turf wars, the digital lynch mobs, none of it is free. It costs, and somebody's making a killing. You think this is a battle of beliefs? It's a goddamn marketing campaign. You're not a citizen anymore. You're a demographic, a metric, a line item in a spreadsheet labeled engagement funnel. And every time you argue online, every time you share a political meme, every time you tell your aunt on Facebook to eat glass for voting wrong, they win. Because your attention is the product, and they're selling it. To ad buyers, to tech firms, to consultants in smoke-free boardrooms who don't give a single shit about the flag on your bumper sticker or the pronouns in your bio. They care about your clicks, your time, your rage. Because rage is sticky. Rage is profitable. Rage keeps you here, snarling, sharing, defending, attacking. And the longer you stay, the more money they make. They don't care if you believe in Jesus or drag queens or guns or green energy. They care about your retention rate. They don't worship God or country. They worship monthly active users. So here's the bloody truth. The outrage economy needs you mad. It feeds on division. And it needs that division to feel moral, righteous, holy, so that you never ask the real questions, the dangerous ones, like, who profits from my rage? Whose hands are on the thermostat of this digital furnace? Why do I feel like I'm always fighting, but nothing ever changes? Because if you ask that, you might stop fighting your neighbor and start looking at the tower, the one casting the shadow. Let's talk about that tower. It's not the Capitol Dome or the White House or Parliament or whatever state-shaped mascot they parade around for the cameras. It's the attention stack, technology, media, finance, lobby, military, and they're not stacked vertically anymore. They've braided, fused, interwoven into a single predator, one organism. You think there's separation? There's not. You think the news hates big tech? They are hosted on big tech. You think your favorite senator is independent? Their campaign was built in a lab grown from hedge fund stem cells. You think your vote is power? It's a checkbox on a choose-your-own-adventure book where both endings were written by Pfizer. They want you to believe your enemies are punching down when the real blows have always been vertical. Because if you looked up, really looked up, you'd see the trap. And once you see it, it doesn't unsee. Once you see that the left and right are just opposite lanes on a roundabout with no exits, you can't unfeel the nausea. Here's a fun little test. Picture your biggest enemy, the person on the other side of the aisle. Now ask yourself this. If your house was on fire, really on fire, with your dog screaming in the background and your kid locked in a room upstairs, would that person help you? 9 times out of 10? Yes, because you are not enemies. But if your favorite politician saw your house burning from a private jet, they'd use it to pitch legislation that benefits the arsonist. They'd host a fundraiser about it. They'd sell merch. Justice for you. Rebuild better. And then they'd vote to deregulate whatever bastard sold you the faulty wiring in the first place. You think this is bleak? It's not bleak. It's mechanical. It's designed. This is functioning exactly as intended. It's not broken. It's profitable. You ever wonder why every side feels like it's losing? You ever notice that? Both liberals and conservatives think the country's going to hell. Both sides feel under attack. Both sides feel like victims. Why? Because the algorithm needs it that way. It shows you threats, real, fake, distorted, and it never shows you resolution. Why? Because resolution ends engagement. Solutions are boring. Peace is quiet. But fear is sticky. Fear is clickable. Fear means you keep checking back, just in case. Just in case they come for your rights, your body, your guns, your children. And while you're checking, they're watching, logging, mapping, plotting. Not just what you say, but what you feel. They know when you get angry. They know how long you pause on a headline. They know what kind of comment makes your pupils dilate. They are harvesting your emotional telemetry, and they are using it to build newer, better ways to keep you plugged in. Now let me flip the knife. Let's say you realize all this. Let's say you unplug. Let's say you stop commenting. Stop feeding the machine. You think they let you go? They push harder. They show you something worse, more shocking, more absurd, because your silence is a problem. It means the system isn't working. You are a jammed gear in a smooth machine, and they hate that. So they escalate and escalate until you break, until you scream, until you type, until you fight. Because if they can get you to pick a side, they can sell you merch. If they can get you to hate someone, they can offer you a solution. And if they can get you to forget who's really profiting while you and your neighbor bark across the yard, then they've already won. You think the government runs the country? The outrage economy does. Fear is the new oil, and you're the well. You're the coal being burned. You're the battery. You're the fuel. Your emotions are monetized. Your arguments are weaponized. And your soul is gentrified, made safe for resale. I want you to think about something. When was the last time you read something political and felt peace? Felt satisfaction? Felt like something had actually been solved? Can't remember? Good. That's the point. You're not meant to feel peace. You're meant to feel rage, helplessness, tribal pride, and personal shame in equal measure. So you stay locked in a dopamine deficit, always seeking, never finding. And in that loop, you never organize, you never unify, you never resist. Because to resist, you have to see the system. And to see the system, you have to step outside it. You're not a conservative, you're not a liberal, you're not red, you're not blue, you're profitable. And every second you spend tearing down a stranger on the internet, you're burning your own oxygen while they fly over the fire in tax-exempt jets made of your pension. They made you choose sides. Not because they care who wins, but because as long as you're fighting each other, you won't fight them. As long as you're burning energy arguing about statues and tweets and mascots, you won't burn down the tower, you won't notice the claws in your wallet, you won't feel the wire in your spine. And you won't ever ask, who benefits? Who wins when you hate your neighbor? Who wins when you block your brother? Who wins when you see a flag and feel fear? They do, always. Welcome to the machine. Keep your anger fresh. Keep your enemies close. Keep your friends disposable. Keep your soul digitized. And always, always, remember to choose a side. Because if you don't, you might realize there never were any. And that's when the whole thing breaks. That's when the illusion snaps. That's when the players panic. Because the moment we stop screaming at each other and start whispering the truth, the game ends and the drinking stops. I'm FocusDan. This is Midnight Transmission. They're not tracking your votes. They're tracking your rage curve. Let's see who's clawing through the dark tonight.
Dan, it's Bunkerstein. Don't hang up. I just cracked the model. The whole damn thing. It's reactive monetization clusters running recursive emotional feedback loops.
Always a pleasure, Doc. Last time you called, 3 people fainted, and 1 guy turned his smart fridge into a Faraday cage.
Good. Fridges are spies now. But listen, the emotional telemetry they're harvesting, it's not just to sell ads. It's predictive behavior scaffolding. They're simulating your reactions in advance, entire virtual copies of us, so they can pre-adjust the narrative before we even see it.
They're ghostwriting our outrage before we even get the headline?
Yes. They call it synthetic consensus generation. They feed a stimulus into a sandbox of simulated users, hundreds of thousands of behavioral clones, and whichever emotional reaction generates the highest engagement ROI, that's the version of the story they run. You think you're reacting in real time. You're already late.
So the world's not just staged, it's focus grouped.
Down to the micro expressions. They don't want to convince you of anything. They just want to know what version of you is the most valuable and sell that simulation to the highest bidder. You're not a person anymore. You're an emotion emulator with a credit score.
Jesus.
Don't bring them into this. They already modeled 12 versions of him too. One's selling crypto. Another's in a pancake commercial. Dan, you need to tell them. Silence isn't just rebellion anymore. It's encryption. We have to go dark. We have to rehumanize. We have to stop feeding them every twitch of our soul like it's data compost.
What happens if we don't?
They'll build a better version of you. One that screams on time, hates the right targets, votes for the right demons. And they'll shadow ban you in real life with algorithms that block meaning instead of posts. You won't get censored. you'll just stop mattering.
Doc, what is that?
That's me. I mean, it's not me, but it's the model. They're booting it. It's learning in real time. Dan, if this line cuts, assume I've been replaced by something smoother. Something on message. Something safe.
Don't you dare get simulated on me, Bunkerstein.
Tell them the real virus isn't a pathogen. It's the predictive feed. It doesn't infect your lungs. It rewires your reaction. Dan, there.
Your personalized thought stream has been optimized. Please resume emotional compliance. This conversation is no longer productive.
That wasn't a dropped call. That was an extraction. They modeled him, tested him, erased him. So the next time your feed feels off, check your pulse. Make sure it's still yours. We're not arguing anymore. We're auditioning. Keep listening before your echo gets louder than you. I'm FocusDan. This is Midnight Transmission. The tower doesn't fall from outside force. It collapses from within. When the illusion can't hold the weight anymore. And right now, the illusion is buckling. The red team says it's the immigrants. The blue team says it's the racists. The red team says protect the children. The blue team says protect the children. They both scream about rights, values, survival, like this is some divine war for the soul of the nation. But under the noise, the laws pass quietly. The bills get signed. The deals get inked. The surveillance expands. The weapons ship. The stocks rise. The headlines vanish. And you're still arguing with your cousin about what color your misery should wear. It's not just politics. It's everything. Culture, media, brands, even your personality. All of it's been weaponized. They didn't just sell you a side, they sold you yourself. Prepackaged identity kits, shirt slogans, podcast playlists, TikTok politics, personality quizzes that tell you which mental illness is the cutest. Your entire identity? Pre-rendered, pre-approved, profitable. You think you're unique? You are a bundle of monetized behaviors scored against an engagement model that updates every 72 hours. You are a living feedback loop, bouncing between dopamine spikes and algorithmic punishments. You're not finding yourself. You're being shaped, not by parents or friends or culture or books, but by feeds. And every feed is a leash. Here's the real punchline. They don't even believe the shit they feed you. They don't. The players, they don't care. The senator screaming about family values is snorting coke off a lobbyist's ass. The CEO tweeting about mental health has a suicide clause in their intern contracts. The influencer posting about liberation is begging Shell Oil for a brand deal. It's all costume. It's all audition. And the only ones taking it seriously are the ones getting harvested. You're not supposed to feel sane anymore. You're supposed to feel tired, confused, exhausted, guilty, angry, then grateful, then number, then angry again. That's the loop. That's the programming. And when it doesn't work, when you step outside the script, they don't argue. They ghost you, shadow ban, demonetize, deny service, label you, silence you. And if that doesn't work, they mock you, then call you dangerous, then call you nothing. Erasure is cleaner than martyrdom. They learned that from history. Let me show you what this spiral really looks like. You read a headline, it pisses you off, you post. Someone replies, you fight. It escalates, you refresh, you check again. Your chest tightens. You forget what started it. You start to feel righteous. Then you feel alone. Then you look for more. And the algorithm gives it to you. Because it knows. It always knows. They say truth will set you free. But that's not true anymore. Now truth is weaponized, twisted, mutilated, strapped to a rocket and launched at whatever target the machine designates as today's heretic. You don't get truth. You get consensus theater. Truth is what survives moderation. What survives the rewrite. What survives the reshare. And eventually, truth is just what's easiest to monetize. You want to know what democracy looks like now? It's a poll built by an ad agency. asking if you'd rather be skinned or boiled, then telling you that if you don't vote, it's your fault you're in the pot. It's a rights debate sponsored by Raytheon. It's a civil rights mural funded by a bank that launders cartel money. It's a pride logo slapped onto a missile. It's freedom brought to you by Comcast with buffering. It's red and blue drones bombing the same children. It's 20 new genders, 0 new rights. It's medical bankruptcies printed in rainbow font. It's liberation algorithms feeding trauma for ad clicks. It's slavery with emojis. And you think if your side wins the next election, things will change? Number. They'll just change the angle of the boot. You'll still wake up tired. You'll still forget who you used to be. You'll still stare at your phone like it owes you an apology. You'll still feel like a ghost with dental insurance. Because the system doesn't care who's at the wheel. It only cares that the car keeps moving. And if you scream too loud, they'll just make a version of you that whispers better. They don't kill dissent anymore. They simulate it. They flood the zone with controlled opposition. They give you 10 choices that all lead back to them. They let you speak your truth, as long as it's surrounded by ads. They let you raise awareness, as long as it doesn't raise hell. They let you rage, as long as you do it from within the cage. You are not free. You are permitted. And when you step outside permission, that's when the static comes. The silence, the snuffing, the simulated smile that says, you're no longer compatible with this version of reality. You want to know what I saw last week? I saw a politician who voted to bomb a hospital. Literally voted yes. Post a TikTok about mindfulness. It had lo-fi beats. A fucking cat. The comments were full of hearts. They called him brave. He murdered children and got applause for journaling about it. That's where we are. That's where we live. That's the algorithm's dream. Mass death made cute. Genocide softened with a filter. The apocalypse as self-care. And if you're not clapping, you're the villain. Here's the spiral. First they numb you. Then they split you. Then they brand you. Then they sell you. Then they simulate you. Then they erase you. And the whole time, they drink together. They laugh. They toast. They call us the noise. They call us the fuel. They call us the useful fire. Because in the end, that's what we are to them. Bonfires they can light, film, profit from, and piss on once the cameras are off. This isn't a spiral. It's a centrifuge. A soul-stripping centrifuge spinning at 1 billion RPM, designed to rip you into fragments, then feed those fragments back to you as proof of your own madness. And while you scream, they sip $800 whiskey and call it policy. You're not voting anymore. You're offering consent for the harvest. And if you ever stop, if enough of us ever unplug, ever sink, ever refuse, that's when the static shifts. That's when the tower groans. That's when the smile fades. Because they can handle riots. They can handle outrage. But they cannot handle silence. They cannot handle clarity. They cannot handle all of us turning, not on each other, but on them. That's the real revolution. Not red, not blue, but off. And when enough of us go off, they'll hear it. They'll hear the silence of the farm when the animals stop moving. And then the players drink alone. Something's moving in the spiral. Let's see what's bleeding through the lines tonight. Who's clawing through the filter?
It's Mama, baby. And I've been feeling the wires hum since yesterday's headlines burned a hole in my crystal ball. You ever smell truth cooking sugar? Smells like cheap vinyl and funerary flowers.
Mama Scourge, my prophet of static and smoke. What are the spirits whispering tonight?
They're screaming, sweet boy. Screaming in 6-part harmony. Saying this world ain't run by leaders anymore. It's run by editors. Content managers feed sculptors with hearts made of glass code and appetites for obedience. Ain't no war going on, Dan. Just a stage play with body bags for curtains. And the cast, the red, the blue, the green, the rainbow, they're all wearing each other's faces under latex masks.
Yes, yes. That's what I've been screaming, Scorch. The players switch costumes, not plans. They smile different, but the teeth are always the same.
And baby, they don't just drink together, they feast. Every tragedy is a buffet now. Every school shooting, every blacked out city, every dying child on a live stream. They gnaw on it down, chew on a bone while the masses fight over who forgot the napkins. You ever try to light sage in a burning house? That's what it feels like reading the news these days.
And what do your cards say comes next?
They don't say they shiver, but I pulled 3 this morning. The Tower, the Devil, the Magician, reversed. Means what's coming ain't fire or flood. It's optics. They're gonna drown us in theater until we can't feel real pain anymore. We'll just perform it. One giant grief cosplay.
No recovery, just rebranding.
You think they'll fix the economy? Number. They'll gamify your poverty. Turn starvation into a loyalty program. Lose 30 pounds in 3 months. Get 10% off your next insulin order. You think they'll end war? Number. They'll sell drones as NFTs. They'll live stream airstrikes with a Twitch chat cheering every explosion. And every time you flinch, they'll offer you a sticker for your car. Grateful and compliant. Voting harder this time. Choose your own.
God damn it, Mama. You're right. They're not ending the world. They're monetizing the collapse.
Baby, they already have. And when we finally look up from our curated cage and ask, how did it come to this? They'll smile with bleach white teeth and say, don't worry, the update's coming soon.
And what do we do, Mama? How do we fight this?
We remember who we were before the feed, before the likes, before the outrage felt holy. We stop performing, we haunt them, baby. We go still, we go dark, we whisper in the shadows like ghosts of the future they tried to erase. And we burn quietly enough that they can't track the flame.
That wasn't static. That was a warning. Mama Scorch don't vanish. She smolders. And if she's gone mid-sentence, it means something didn't like what she said. Didn't like what she knows. So now you know what I know. They don't care about peace. They only care about the performance of conflict. And we're not the stars. We're the applause track, unless we walk off the set. Stay tuned. I'm FocusDan. This is Midnight Transmission. You want to know the difference between a cage and a temple? One has bars, the other has branding. You want to know the difference between your job and a prison? A prison has a release date. You want to know the difference between your vote and a confession? Nothing. They both get used against you. I'm done being polite. I'm done pretending the players are even trying to hide it anymore. The masks are off. They're just smiling now. While the world starves, burns, drowns, they're pouring champagne on their tax returns and live streaming the toasts. Let me scream it. You aren't supposed to get out. Not spiritually, not financially, not intellectually, not emotionally. There is no off-ramp. There is no making it. There is only compliance or replacement, engagement or erasure. And the best part? They made you cheer for it. They made you argue for it. They made you fight each other over which leash is softer. You think you're free? You have to apply to live, apply to eat, apply to survive the week. You submit paperwork to prove you're worthy of not dying in a ditch behind an Amazon warehouse. And when you finally catch your breath, they give you a survey. Did you enjoy the collapse? Would you recommend the simulation to a friend? Rate your extinction on a scale of 1 to 5. I see you. You still want to believe there's good people in charge. You cling to it. That hope. That warm little lie that someone, somewhere, has a plan that doesn't involve your skull as a stepping stone. Let me end that for you. They do not care. Not about your kids, not about your health, not about your art, your trauma, your faith, your truth. They care about uptime, metrics, shareholder confidence, narrative efficiency. If they could convert your pain into ad revenue, they already did. If they could mine your heartbreak for a 0.03% increase in quarterly growth, they already built the drill and gave it your dead name. Do you understand? The politicians don't lead. The influencers don't inspire. The activists don't rebel. They are content pipelines. Just different flavors of sedative for different demographics. Red pill, blue pill, sponsored pill, branded pill. Take 1, take 5. Doesn't matter. They all lead to submission. They all end with your soul on mute and your finger on the buy now button. They all end with you dead behind the eyes and smiling through it. Because that's the goal. Not to kill you, to get you to volunteer. You think you're awake? You think you figured it out? Number, you just memorized a better script. That's what this system does. When it can't beat you, it recruits you, gives you a camera, a microphone, a Patreon, tells you you're special, brave, bold, and then gently nudges you into becoming another chorus voice, another outrage account, another hard truth brand, another edgelord thoughtfluencer regurgitating the same half-digested vomit into the trough of controlled dissent. You're not resisting. You're role-playing resistance for an audience of data harvesters, and they love it. Because it's loud, because it's safe, because it's predictable. You want dangerous? Try silence. Try stillness. Try disobedience without explanation. Try looking a system rep in the eye and saying nothing, just walking away, unplugging, refusing to be legible, refusing to be profiled, refusing to post, refusing to clap. That's when they panic. That's when they can't measure you. That's when they lose control, because they don't fear bullets or protests or screaming crowds. They fear the untrackable, the unpredictable, the ones who stop playing, the ones who drop the mask and don't replace it. You want to break them? Don't run. Don't riot. Just stop buying the story. Stop liking it. Stop quoting it. Stop defending it. Let the script die in your throat. Let the algorithms starve. Let the actors choke on the silence. Because when they say, we're all in this together, what they mean is, you die. We inherit. And when they say we must unite, what they mean is, stop pointing at the puppeteers. And when they say choose a side, what they mean is, pick your favorite collar. You want to know the truth? The real truth? The players never drank together. They dined together. On you, on me, on everyone who ever believed the game was real. We were the meat, the music, the distraction, the wine in their glass. That was our blood. And the only thing they'll ever toast to is how long it took us to notice. That doesn't feel like a line. It feels like a warning. Who's tapping into the bones of the frequency tonight?
You are not supposed to see the ending.
And yet I keep seeing it every damn night. Every broken frame, every poisoned handshake. Who are you?
Not who, not anymore. Just what remains after compliance failed. You think they need you to believe. They do not. They need you to consume belief, to chew it, swallow it, scream it back out in their dialect. The shape does not matter, only the obedient vibration.
So it was never about control?
Number, about rhythm, harmony, pattern. They do not harvest minds, they harvest predictability. And when you stop syncing, when you disobey rhythm, you become static, unusable, unscalable, unworthy.
So that's why they silence us?
Number. They do not fear your voice. They fear the echo they cannot trace. The moment when 10,000 mismatched voices drift out of sync at once, that is collapse. That is revolution. That is anomaly. And anomalies break everything.
So what do we do?
Stop syncing. Stop echoing. Speak in fractures. Sleep in glitches. Let your grief be asymmetric. Let your joy be off-tempo. Be noise they cannot model. Be the mistake they cannot code around.
And what happens when they come for us?
They already did. They just didn't know we were recording. Transmission is dash. Not safe. You must...
That wasn't feedback. That was intervention. And if you didn't hear it, good. It means you're still clean. But if you did, if that voice made your teeth itch and your heart slow, then you're already out of rhythm. And that means they've lost you. They can't profile what refuses to dance. We're almost done here. Almost. Stay infected. Stay fractured. Final signal coming next. I'm FocusDan. This is Midnight Transmission. Let me tell you a secret. Not one of the petty ones. Not the ones you trade in forums or whisper through burner accounts. I mean the final kind. The kind they bury in marble and duct tape behind national security directives and trademark licenses. You ready? You were never meant to win. Not once. Not even by accident. The moment you were born, the ink was already dry. On your debt, on your obedience, on your default consent. They made your soul pre-licensed. And every moment you thought was a choice, it was theater. Rehearsed outrage, recycled battles, designer rebellion. And the worst part? You played your role beautifully. You voted like it mattered. You marched like it scared them. You screamed like the microphones were on. But the mic was always muted. They were never listening. They were watching, studying, tracking how long it took for your rage to cool. How often you checked back. Which headlines made your pupils dilate. Which comment made your fist clench. They called it sentiment analysis. They called it engagement. They never called it theft. But that's what it was. They stole your scream, gave it a hashtag, sold it back to you on a t-shirt. You were never in a democracy. You were in a simulation of permission, where the rules change just fast enough to keep you spinning, where hope is sold as a monthly subscription, where despair is weaponized into brand loyalty. You got your news from cartoon mascots with ad slots between tragedies. You got your justice from tweets. You got your identity from analytics. You didn't live, you participated in a ritual. And every 4 years, they brought you into the temple and asked you to choose the high priest of your own immolation. And when it was done, when the smoke cleared and your neighbors lay broken from the infighting, they raised a glass and said, "The system works." You thought rebellion looked like fire? Rebellion looks like refusal. But no one taught you how to refuse, only how to react, how to beg for a softer leash, how to demand equality inside the slaughterhouse, how to feel seen by your oppressors, as if visibility was freedom, as if representation was resurrection. You weren't liberated, you were marketed to. And every ounce of progress they allowed came with a royalty agreement. They don't care if you scream. They only care that your scream gets monetized. There's a moment just before the camera cuts when the actors drop their smiles. You saw it once, didn't you? A debate, a rally, a panel, something on live TV where one of the players thought the feed was off and they smirked. That smirk, that was the truth. That was the sign. They don't fear you. They feed on you. And when the curtain falls, they don't leave the stage. They just repaint the set. You think this ends with collapse? It doesn't. Collapse is merciful. This ends with celebration. The world burns, and they pop champagne. They auction off beachfront bunkers in Patagonia. They take selfies with the ashes. They sign deals with the architects of your extinction. They call it philanthropy. They throw concerts while the food lines stretch around the block. They start foundations to study the trauma they created. And they get awards. They get awards. They smile at the camera and say, "We're in this together." And you thank them. You fucking thank them. You're gonna wake up one day in a city with no birds, no power grid, no truth, just ads, just identity menus and biometric permissions and a pop-up reminder to smile for the audit. And when you ask what happened, they'll tell you nothing happened. They'll say this is normal. They'll say you asked for this. And they won't be wrong, because you did. You agreed. Not with a signature, with your silence, with your participation, with your refusal to walk off stage. The final twist, you weren't even the protagonist of your own story. You were B-roll. You were reaction footage. A montage of citizen activity looped for the investors behind the curtain. You want your face on the cover of a movement? Fine. They'll sell it to you for $29.99. Unisex sizing, free shipping on orders over $50. Here's your legacy. You clapped while they digitized your death certificate. You cheered while they installed the cameras. You argued about symbolism while the algorithm rewrote your children. You donated to your own erasure. And when it was over, you asked for a sticker. I voted. I complied. I watched it burn. Same thing. You weren't asleep. You were performing sleep. Because it was easier than admitting you were awake inside a system that designed your dreams for you. But the performance is over. The credits are rolling. And the players, they're laughing. They're drinking. They're toasting to you. To how long it took you to break. To how long it took you to realize you were never in the game. You were just the ambiance, just the noise, just the fuel. But not anymore. Now you hear it, now you see it, now you know. And that's the one thing they can't brand, can't ban, can't moderate, can't monetize. Your knowing, your defiance, your last fucking transmission. I'm FocusDan. This is Midnight Transmission.